What is up guys, welcome back to the channel. This is Dr. Hamistang and today is my final review here of the Honor 400 Pro, a phone that I've been using for a few weeks already and of course got a lot to share with you guys. This is of course the next gen AI phone and we're going to see whether it sticks true to its name. And I always like to break it down into four main segments over here just to give you guys a more comprehensive overview of how this phone has been for me personally over that couple of weeks. So yes, without further ado, let's just get right into it. Okay, so I'm going to start off with the pricing here, and as of this video, I don't really have the official final price, but if we look at last year's Honor 200 Pro, it went for about $550, and if it can remain at this price point, I think this phone over here would be one of the phones to get in 2025, and that is of course a lot of reasons why that's so. So for the first segment that I want to talk about here is of course the holding experience, basically how the phone would feel in your hand on a daily basis, and what I can say is that it feels really good. That's what she said. So what I mean by that is that I always like when it comes to phones that I want something that is a little bit weighty but not too heavy, to give you that kind of premium feel but not too heavy to make me have some hand fatigue when I'm watching shows, like I'm lying down or whatsoever. And I would say with the Honor 400 Pro there, it hits that kind of perfect balance with it. Yes, you have a lot of your premium materials here, you have your glass back, aluminum frames, and also your glass on the front. So definitely it gives you that kind of premium weight and premium feel to it, which I really do like. The buttons on the round side here, it really feels like a flagship phone. I like the button placement here, as it feels much nicer compared to the Magic 7 Pro. It's more centered, I would say, rather than being on the top. And also the scanner on the bottom here as well, it's quite easy to reach, so no problem whatsoever. And just overall, this phone over here feels really nice. I like the curve on the sides that we have here, on the front and also on the back. Very minimal, I would say. And on the sides, it's not a full-on kind of squared sides, which I really do prefer in my so-called 2025 phones, but here it kind of just blends it well with a little bit of some curve, so it definitely feels really comfortable in your hand even for long periods of time. And what I like about this kind of phones is, yes, when it comes to like flagship phones, yes, we have the flagship camera setup here, but it's very, very thin. So in case if you can slap on the case on it, or if you want to use like your gaming controls or whatsoever, because the specs on this is really amazing. And I've been using it with like the Gameser X5 and all that. It really fits in really nice. You don't have that kind of extra bulk there, I would say. And yeah, it feels really nice in hand. And for that, the holding experience on this, I would give it a solid 8 out of 10. Alright, and of course going on to the next segment, let's talk about the viewing experience. So basically I'm going to cover the display, the speakers, and also the haptics with the 400 Pro. And I think this is where they have done a remarkable job. The Honor 200 Pro really did an amazing job already, and over here with the 400 Pro, they have managed to actually go up another level, which of course is something that we do want to see with all the phone companies. What I mean by that is that the display here definitely feels like a very good flagship display. You get to see the colors here come out really nice. I actually was quite amazed when I was watching stuff like on my Hotstar here, Disney Plus, and also Netflix, that the colors do come out really nice, very sharp, and also a lot more details here, and very vibrant, which is something I really do like. And of course, when you're just going through your apps or social media, I really just like it. And it's one of the phones that I actually really do want to go back and just watch my social media and watch all my content over here, do all my work, because we have an amazing display here, a large 6.7-inch AMOLED panel as well. And of course the speakers here, this is where it goes a little bit mixed here. Like, I would say it's really good. Like, if you never bought like a phone at this price range, you would think that the speakers here are amazing, because they actually are. But of course, as a person that listens to a lot of phones, I would say it's maybe at the 70 to probably 75% of the flagship level. It still gets pretty loud, it still gets pretty clear for most people, so I really do like it over there. So yeah, overall the speakers on this is really nice, the display as well. And also when it comes to the haptics, this is again something similar to the sound here. You do get strong haptic feedback and a little bit of that subtle approach, but it doesn't feel very flagship, I would say. You know, sometimes when you use the flagship, they have that subtle kind of gradient kind of vibration here. But when it comes to this, it feels a little bit on the cheap side, I would say. This is something that maybe they could have improved on in the future iterations on this, because this over here, in terms of spec wise, you can do a lot, like a lot of gaming, a lot of editing. So I did wish that the haptics on this would be a little bit better. So yeah, if you guys want to know about that some more, you can just let me know in the comments about the haptic feedback on this. Overall, when it comes to the whole viewing experience on this, I'll give it a solid, again, 8 out of 10. Alright, and of course, one of the major attraction with the Honor 400 Pro, and that is of course the user experience. So basically I'm gonna cover the hardware and software side of things. So hardware wise, compared to last year's 200 Pro, that was more of the mid-range phone. So they gave you the Snapdragon 7 Gen 2 or 3 processor here. I didn't expect it to be the Gen 3 or maybe a Gen 4 processor, but they did give you last year's flagship processor, the 8 Gen 3, one of the best processors out there when it comes to gaming, comes to editing, all that. So they are actually giving you here with the 400 Pro. That is of course super amazing, because sometimes they would just give you maybe a MediaTek flagship processor or something like that, but no, they're giving you a Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 processor. And of course, when we talk about it, you can expect performances here to be really good. Multitasking, no problems whatsoever. Switching in between your apps, just opening up a lot of your stuff, you don't really notice the lags and stuff. So yeah, it definitely performs as you would expect from a flagship phone. So that is why I'm just super impressed with the 400 Pro here in terms of the specs wise here. We have also 512 gigs of storage. You have, of course, your 12 gigs of RAM with the RAM Turbo feature. So all amazing. But the one thing that I need to talk about here is, of course, the AI features that does come with this phone. So we all know about the AI eraser. Most phone companies, excluding, you know, like a fruit kind of company, they do it quite well. Like you can actually remove the object, remove people on the side, and the photo will still look very natural. Over here, as you would expect, it does a remarkable job. Few things they have added here which I do see on like certain apps that you can actually download on the Google Store, but you know, you sometimes have to pay for a subscription. You have to go download here for just one feature, you need to download another app for another feature, and just kind of combine it, and it's actually a little bit of a mess. I really do like it here that they're giving it with the stock phone in this here. So in terms of the AI features, we have also the AI upscaling. So that means if you have phones like taken many years ago when Facebook first started, and that's what actually I did. I went through back all my old albums, the digital albums and also the physical albums, and just try to take a photo, and I did the AI upscaling, and I would say it's actually very decent. Yes, you're not going to get the super kind of 2025 shots with this, but it still gives you a little bit more details, a little bit more smoothing, and just makes the photo look better. So that's of course a really great feature to have. And of course, one of the major things when it comes to this is of course the image to video feature, and that is again another amazing feature that is with the 400 Pro. Again, you can download this stuff from the Google Play Store or whatever, but it's really nice that they already built it in this 400 Pro here. So basically what it does is that you can just take any image on the go, and then you can just give it some life to your image over here. So again, it works with old images, not all the time I would say, and not the result sometimes you would expect. Sometimes if you just look at it and you take a photo with your half face, you know, sometimes the AI doesn't really kind of capture it. But for most images I've taken, and of course different kind of scenarios, whether it being the selfie mode, whether you're just taking a landscape, you're taking some portraits or whatsoever, I really like the AI features on it. And this is just kind of scary because in the future, who knows, if this is just 5 seconds, but in the future, maybe they can do maybe 5 minutes, 10 minutes. I just take a photo of myself sitting down here and I can make a whole video out of it, even with my voice in it. So it's really amazing. And again, it just adds a little bit more life to your photos. So you're not only just taking new photos, which we're going to talk about in the next segment, but you're also going through your old photos and all your old stuff, and just makes the phone so much more kind of enjoyable with this. The only setback I would say on this is that for the time that's going to be launched, they're going to limit it to about 10 times per day, and hopefully in the future they're not going to charge us like what, you know, other companies are doing with their AI features over here. But for what it is, I gotta say that the AI on this is really fun, really amazing, and truly this is the next gen AI, and hopefully it will push other companies again to do stuff, not just the AI eraser or AI upscaling or whatsoever AI removal of your mirror images on that, but really with all this stuff you can do, even I think with like maybe figures or with pets and all that, they can just add more stuff to it. Really, really fun. And that for it, I'm gonna give the user experience on this a solid 10 out of 10. So last but not least, let's talk about the flagship cameras that we have with the Honor 400 Pro, and I think this is where it kind of differentiates itself from the Honor 200 Pro. So usually at this mid-range price over here, this is where they have to cut some corners because they have to make the price at a lower price point. So this is what I would say, this is where it impressed me the most as well, other than the AI stuff, which also does work well together. So when it comes to the selfie department over here, I really like the fact that they've given us 2 cameras on the front over here. Who's going to complain about extra cameras? And of course, we have the 50 megapixel lens, gives you sharp and very good images, and of course, captures a lot of details and gives you that nice, perfect selfie shot. Of course, it's not perfect, but you know, it is what it is. And of course, the extra 2 megapixel depth camera over here definitely does give you a little bit more of that assurance that you're going to get a little bit more bokeh effect, a little bit more details, and a little bit more dynamic range when you're taking selfie shots. Because again, at this price point, and again for most mid-range phones, this is where they had to cut some corners, and I really do like it here. And of course, I want to say that the size on this is actually very, very minimal. So when you're watching your shows, it doesn't really interrupt a lot when you're watching your content at full screen, which is something I really do enjoy. And of course, if you switch on to the rear cameras over here, I'm going to talk about each lens and how it actually performs. So when it comes to the main lens, the 200 megapixel OIS dual autofocus camera, and I think this is where it kind of shines through compared to last year's Honor 200 Pro. It shines through in the fact that when you're taking videos, it helps with the stabilization, and when you're taking shots, it just captures a lot more details, a lot more dynamic range, and just the white balance and everything falls really, really nice. And I really like the shots taken over here, and most of the time it feels really, really flagship at the end of the day. Again, we have all the hardcore effects to give you that extra kind of effects, a little bit more details on it. I really do like it here. They've introduced it with the Honor 400 Pro. It usually is more catered towards the flagship level, like the Magic phones, but I really do like it here with the 400 as well. When we talk about the telephoto lens, 50 megapixel 3 times, and I think this is where, again, it really helps a lot with the 200 megapixel lens, because most of the time when you're transitioning between the telephoto, ultra wide, and even to the main lens, you will notice a little bit of that quality drop or quality differences between 3 of these lenses. And what I can say is that when you're taking shots all around, you don't really notice much of a drop in terms of the quality, in terms of the color, in terms of the dynamic range between the telephoto and the main lens. And of course, that is amazing because sometimes you just want to capture something that's a little bit further away at about 10 times or maybe 15 times zoom, and you just want that extra quality over there instead of taking from the main lens and zooming in. And I really do like it here with the telephoto lens. It still managed to maintain that quality over there. When it comes to the ultra wide, you would notice a little bit of some drop in terms of the softness, and of course in terms of just the details of it, and of course a little bit of the fish eye effect all around. But it still does capture a lot more details, and I really do like the ultra wide lens over here. No one's going to complain about the not having an ultra wide lens. And I really do like that they've given us 3 important lenses over here. Sometimes they will give you a macro shooter or whatever, which nobody really uses. And the ultra wide here, they have doubled on that. They're giving you ultra wide, and it also does work as your macro lens. So definitely you sort of have like a 4 lens system on this camera over here. And again, this is usually catered towards the flagship phones, and I really do like it here. You do have it on the Honor 400 Pro. And for that, the camera experience on this, I will give it a solid 9 out of 10. Alright guys, so that is it with my review here of the Honor 400 Pro. And of course, the ultimate question is, should you go out and buy it? I think for the price point here, if it's priced between the 500 to maybe the maximum of 700, I would say just go and buy it. I think over here we have a very, very good solid built phone, very nice design, bit wavy instead of your normal kind of flagship blunt phone. You have some life to it over here. We have a very good processor, don't have to mention about it. Great cameras, great display, very, very fun AI. And for one thing that I forgot to mention in my earlier part was of course the battery performance on this. 6000 milliamps of battery definitely helps a lot in giving you more than a full day of usage. I do a lot of gaming over here, and I really do like it that the battery doesn't drop. Even overnight, it doesn't drop a lot. But if it does, you can actually charge it wirelessly, which of course is more of a flagship kind of feature, but we have it here. And of course, you can use the 100-watt brake charger, which they do give you right off the box here in Malaysia. I'm not sure about other countries, but they do give it over here. So all on that, actually this is a full package phone. And of course, if this doesn't really push you to go out and buy it, I'm not sure what will, because these are always just my thoughts and my opinions. Let me know in the comment section down below if you guys have any thoughts, experiences, or if you have any questions. Let me know in the comments down below, and I'll see you guys in